It's gonna be lit.
Word. Where does is Carmelo Anthony overrated? Where does Kobe fall all time in relation to Hakeem Olajuwon? And if you added Luka to any playoff team, are they better? It's about to go down. Let's find.
All over the world, millions of people are playing, talking, or debating sports. What if there was a way we could turn the debate into a sport? A competition where two contestants battle, but only one leaves a winner. Ladies and gentlemen, From the Sideline podcast presents The Fade Room.
What's up, everybody? We got a special day today. We got a double header of the Fade Room today. We got one tonight and one right now. So first, let me introduce the judges. From Chicago, we got the Terminator himself, my man BooWop. How we doing, BooWop? You muted.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, man? Let's get it popping. We got Chi-Town versus New York, baby. Let's do this.
And then we got more of the usual suspects. My man Trent, wide receiver, tight end next year for the University of Houston. What's up, Trent? You got the belt today. What's up, Trent?
Feel me? That's still the real champ here. You know, we still scoping out here. Still about to be a good battle though for sure. About to bring energy. I'm ready. Let's see it. Let's do it.
All right, bet. And then finally, last but not least, we got my man Gbaby from the Keeping It G podcast. What's going on, Gbaby, with the fresh cut?
Yeah, you know what time it is. I don't know how you can have a belt, but you own one. But hey, it's all good. We good. Hey, let's get it popping.
All right, now we're about to hit you with the rules. Go ahead, Troy. Let them see.
The rules of the Fade Room. You may only speak when it's your possession. Each possession has a 60-second shot clock. Each round consists of 8 minutes plus 60-second closing statements. Each player gets one chance to instantly steal back possession by saying cookies. Each player gets one chance to go no huddle for a 10-second extension by saying Omaha. Judges score every round. The winner will be announced at the end of the show.
All right, and without further ado, let me introduce your contestants. First, from New York City, diehard Knicks fan, we got my man Rel. How you feeling today, Rel?
And I'm good. I'm just saying, somebody questioned me about some New York stuff, man. We're going to talk about it.
We got to represent. Let's go. And then his opponent, we got the chef out of Chicago, King Edward. He's not only cooking in the kitchen, he's ready to cook in the Fade Room. What's up, King Edward? How you feeling?
What's up? What's going down, man? Y'all already know what it is. I'm just trying to let these New Yorkers know about their Knicks players because they ain't got no loyalty for real. So let's get into it.
All right. And so for the first topic, well, we flipped the coin in the back, and Rel, you're going first, correct? So Rel won the coin toss. He decided to go first. The first question, without further ado, is Carmelo Anthony overrated? Rel's gonna be starting first, and Rel, the time starts now.
So the reason I have Melo overrated is because his scoring blinds his whole career. He's a top 10 scorer in the league all the time. I give him that. But besides that, we cannot pinpoint times where y'all been like, damn, all right, Melo the best after this. Melo's the best after this. 2013, he wasn't the best. 2009, he was very good. When has Melo ever been the best? And as a superstar player, you have to be damn near, pardon my language, you have to be one of the best players in the league. And in 2013, I can name players better than him. 2009, I can name players better than him. He was never a number two, a number three. And then when he went to the Knicks, all of that was fluky. We could talk about the help he had, the people that he had on the teams. And because y'all look at the names right now, I'm a Knicks fan. I know the stats.
10
I know how
seconds.
they played. I watched the game, and I could tell you what he did as a superstar.
5.
It was overrated.
You gotta unmute yourself. There you go.
All right. So first of all, I also watched Carmelo Anthony when he played for the Knicks and when he played for the Nuggets. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you mentioned the scoring title, but doesn't that qualify you to be one of the better players in the league? And yeah, I know what you're gonna say. You can say, well, he wasn't better than LeBron or he wasn't better than D Wade, but you can put anybody up against those two guys, and they're not going to be considered to even come close to what those two guys offered. Now, I saw Melo, I saw the help that he had, or the quote unquote help that he had. The help you talking about 2013, I don't see that same help. You talking about Steve Novak, well, Chris Copeland, like Chris Copeland was a sophomore, and yeah, we would call him Baby Melo and all that other
7
stuff,
seconds.
but
5
he
seconds.
averaged 8 points a game. 8 points.
You gotta unmute. There you go.
So now, when you talk about the 8 points and the Steve Novak, if you really watch those games, you've seen how significant Chris Copeland 8 points actually was. Then on top of that, we all know Melo can't guard a Paul Carr. Chris Copeland was guarding those wings. Every wing player, Chris Copeland down that floor, when he was on the floor, he guarded every wing player. So that's we talking about Braun, PG, Kevin Durant. We talking about Paul Pierce. And that 2013, we can talk about it because he had a 6-man of the year during the regular season. Five people in double digits scoring. The ball is moving. The team was in rhythm. When it hits playoffs, the ball got stagnant. He was taking other shots. People that was hitting shots wide open in the corner didn't get the ball at all. Then when you want to talk about shooting percentage, Melo shot 38 for
10
that
seconds.
season. He shot 38 for that season, and then even in the playoffs and in regular season, he had people that wasn't scoring double digits, shooting over 40 points from
2,
three-pointer.
1.
I mean, yeah, I mean, well, that might be true, but at the same time, you're okay. Like this is frustrating me because I know what that New York team went through that year. So you're talking about the adjustment in play from regular season and playoffs. Every role player is going to shrink in the playoffs. We've seen it with every team, with every superstar team. So if you're saying, okay, well, if Steve Novak was your knockdown 3-point shooter, of course he's not going to have that shot in the playoffs because they're going to defer to their star player, who was Carmelo Anthony. And yeah, Chris Copeland might have been great on defense, but you got to do more than play defense. You got to do more than play defense. It's not just about, yeah, there's 8 points being significant. Bro, average, give me 13 points, give me a couple of steals and a few rebounds, then you can consider yourself a contributing player of the team, right? And then you're talking about the 6-man of the year.
10 seconds.
We know what J.R. Smith was. We know how inconsistent he was, even in the Knicks. And he took that inconsistency. He went from the Knicks to the Cavaliers.
2.
We saw it happen.
We're halfway through the round. Unmute.
So now you talk about you want them to go up. Just all honesty, when you're a player and you take shots away from rhythm players, it messes up rhythm. So all of those players that was scoring, and even if it was 8 points, 6 points, he took those shots away because he shot 20 shots during the regular season. During the playoffs, he went up to 25, 26 shots. He took a lot of players' shots away. A lot of players stood in the corner. You can watch Iman Shumpert interview. Yo, he shot over the double team. I'm mad. Melo said, I do this. And he ends up losing. When you take away shots from rhythm players, you can't expect them to get in rhythm when they actually have the ball. That's why they're rhythm players. And the problem with the Knicks was that those were all rhythm players around them. When you take shots away from guys like Chris Copeland, Steve Novak, they just up and running down the court. So when you actually give them the ball, they look worse than what they are because they have to be in rhythm. They have
2
to move.
seconds,
They
Ron.
have to fill
That's
the
it.
ball.
Well, rhythm comes down to more than just those star players taking away shots from them. You said Melo averaged he shot 5 or 6 more shots in the postseason than the regular season. Yeah, so what? So on average, if you got 4 or 5 role players on their Knicks team, which they had, that means he took 1 shot away from all those other players. So does that mean that Melo was so ball dominant that okay, now everybody else can't shoot the ball? That comes down to coaching. That comes down to scheming, and that comes down to knowing your personnel and knowing who you're going against. If you know you got to face a Pacers team who at the time had Roy Hibbert, George Hill, all these defensive players, you know that okay, we got to get the ball moving around. So when you said Steve Novak was gas or what everybody else is running around screens trying to get to their spots, it's going to be hard to do that when you got guys like PG who
10
had I
seconds.
think 5 steals and one of the games in the Eastern Conference Finals.
And that is true. But even if you look at it as they're taking 1 shot away, those shots are important. That last game, when it was a game-winning block by Roy Hibbert, I called the play. I knew Roy Hibbert was going to block Melo before Melo made that shot. Why? Because he made that baseline play 5 times before that. And they knew exactly where he was going to go. Steve Novak was open. There was 2 Knicks players wide open that are good shooters. I remember like yesterday because I cried about it. There were certain things about that pinpoint moment that when if Melo would have just made a kick, he would have just made a pass, it would have been better. It would have just been a whole better scenario. Then his efficiency went down in that playoffs tremendously. He went from shooting 38% to shooting 25 from 3. He went from shooting 40% to shooting
6 seconds.
40,
5,
41 to shooting like 39.
3, 2.
Well, of course, your field goal percentage is going to suffer when you're being called on to take more shots and take more difficult shots. But that doesn't take away from the effectiveness that the rest of the team should have had, which they didn't have. Right? I think Iman had 19 that game. Everybody else was in single digits, if I'm not mistaken, other than J.R. Smith. So you got Melo, you got J.R. Smith and Shumpert, who were all those are the only 3 players on that game 6 against the Pacers. Those only 3 players in double figures. Melo had like 39. So who is he supposed to kick the ball to when everybody else is not knocking down
10
shots?
seconds in the round.
All those
9,
role players, they weren't doing their job. So that's not Melo's
5.
fault. That's coaching.
All right, guys. That's the end of the round. All right, so now we're gonna do closing arguments, but let's just make sure that we get back to the original question for your closing statement. Is Carmelo Anthony overrated? So for closing statements, King Edward, you're gonna go first, and Raul's gonna close out. You get 60 seconds. Go ahead, King Edward.
All right, so I guess my closing statement is that Melo was the superstar of the Knicks. He was superstar of the Nuggets, and out of the I think 12 out of 13, 14 seasons, he averaged over 20 points. He was always the go-to guy, and he did it both on the offensive end and the defensive end when it comes down to his interior defense, because Melo was not small and he was not taking nothing from all those the wings that we worship during that time. So I just think all time Melo, he can't be overrated. He can't be, even compared to the other small forwards in his position at that time. I don't think he's overrated by no stretch of the imagination. Anything other than that just means either you from New York and you just that Melo, or you, like I said in TikTok, you either just started watching basketball or you got feelings drawn into it.
2, 1. All right, very good. All right, it's on you, Raul.
To me, Melo's still overrated. When we talk about superstars and what they do, what they bring for their team, we could talk about both ends of the floor. We know he doesn't play both ends of the floor. His only aspect to the game is scoring. And even in that point, when he was on his scoring rampage, Kevin Durant got 4 scoring titles over him. Other people got scoring titles over him that y'all can say he's just this great scorer. So even if he's this great scorer, he don't got scoring titles to back it up. He has the record, and that's cool. But when we look at his play style, defense, other end of the floor, playmaking, IQ, Melo has none of that. Melo has absolute none of that. And that's it.
All right, bet. Awesome. That was a dope round one. Very entertaining. I will say this. Don't be afraid to use your options. You guys both get a cookies to steal. So, like, even if he just opens his mouth, first 3 words, steal that shit if you want. Okay? Pardon my language. But yeah, so without further ado, we're going to throw up a poll in the chat. So everybody in the chat, vote. Who do you think won the round? It's not necessarily even who you agree with. Who do you think won the round? Like, as far as being a debater and entertaining and whatnot. You could be partially like if you agree with them or not. But so we're going to throw the poll up in the chat, and then we're going to move right into round 2. So for round 2, King Edward's going to begin. And the question is Kobe ahead of Hakeem Olajuwon on the all-time list? Okay. Is Kobe ahead of Hakeem Olajuwon in the all-time list? And King Edward's going to go first. And Troy, you want to throw him up? And then King Edward, when you're ready, your time starts now.
All right. So just to preface everything I'm going to say, the reason I had Hakeem ahead of Kobe is because I am a firm believer in defense. I'm a firm believer in playing all sides of defense, and I'm talking about rotating off screens, rotating baseline, catching the pick and rolls, catching any plays kind of drawn up by the opposing team. And I just feel like when it comes down to defense, when it comes down to scoring, and when it comes down to just the ability to affect the game on both ends at a high level, I personally believe that Hakeem is over Kobe in that aspect. I mean, you look at your favorite centers, you can say Shaq, Tim, Wilt, Julius, like
7 seconds.
He led the league in blocks for a reason.
2,
And
1. That's it.
Yeah.
If that was your argument, that I'm not gonna lie to you, my boy, that was a terrible argument. Kobe has like 14 all-time defensive teams. Even if it's first or second, he still has 14 of them as a guard. He may not have a DPOY like Jordan, but cool. 14 all-time defensive. Off screens, we know he plays off screens. And then when you bring up scoring, we all know Kobe's a better scorer than Hakeem. Now, if you want to bring it down to the post, yeah, maybe Hakeem has it in the post, but all scoring, Kobe has it on both sides. He has the all defensive teams. He has the scoring. He has all the components that you're saying about Hakeem, and that's why I have Kobe at number 8 and Hakeem at number 10. What Hakeem did is amazing, but what Kobe did
10 seconds,
as a guard, playing defense, scoring, everything on the court, he was the man of that team, and he gave you on both ends of the floor.
Well, I just think I think it came down to I think a lot of my argument comes down to matchups too, right? Now we saw what he did against Shaq in the finals. Basically told him like, hey, take this, hold this L. Like I'm gonna take this from you because you feel like, I mean, Shaq was a dominant player in the league on offense and defense. So what Hakeem did was he made him step out at least 10 feet, 10, 12 feet, pull up jump shot. Pick and rolls, pick and pop. Shaq couldn't defend it how he needed to in order to stop Hakeem in those finals. And then you look at what he did to against the Supersonics team. What, 36 and 20, 36 and 27, something like that.
7 seconds.
So yeah, a lot of my argument for me, it boils down to matchups. And
even if you want to talk about matchups, in the 90s, yes, he had better matchups because it was better plays. But in that shooting guard aspect in the 2000s, the early 2000s, he was destroying a lot of guards or anybody that you really put in front of him. My favorite player of all time, he was killing AI. He was killing AI. There was nobody that was out there to really guard Kobe. So even if you want to talk about the first three-peat that he went on, not the first, but the three-peat that he went on with him and Shaq, the first year, yeah, you could say Shaq was the man. After that, his numbers is comparable. He was one of those guys out there. Then we talk about on the defensive floor, the defensive side, we know that Kobe can chase down blocks. He could get the steals. He can guard up on smaller players, point guards, shooting guards. I've seen him guard small forwards. So even if we talk about both ends of the floor, he's still a winner. And then even when he wanted to win, he didn't even use somebody as dominant as Shaq. We would never
10
say
seconds,
Paul
bro.
Gasol is. We would never say Paul Gasol is as dominant as Shaq. But if you give him a good enough player, he's gonna win.
Well, I think that's just a matter of perspective because it all depends on what you define as a good enough player. Yeah, Paul Gasol was never as great as Shaq, but when it came down to production and doing what the team needed in order to win the championship, I would say they're both. I would say that's up for debate as far as who was more or less, who contributed more or less helping Kobe win those titles, right? And for Olajuwon, yeah, he had Kenny Smith, but Olajuwon was the Giannis of his time. His ability to stretch the floor, take long strides, dribble, penetrate, post work, footwork, and be able to affect the game defensively.
10 seconds.
It's kind of what separates him and Kobe. I think it just boils down to position preference.
Even if you want to go to position preference, then I understand that. But just looking at their games out there on the floor, Kobe's a better scorer. We know that, and you could say it's because of a guard. But we've seen big men score in a high 28s, and I'm not saying that he's not as good as a scorer, but I just think Kobe is a way better scorer. Defensive end, he has that intensity. He has every component to be better, and I just think that he may just be a better all around player. He is a better all around player. Defense, offense, he gives you what you need. He won with Paul Gasol. He won with Andrew Bynum, and after that, we've seen how those players went on after that. They haven't sustained a career. We know what Clyde Drexler was. Kenny the Jet Smith.
2 minutes before closing.
But we know what Clyde Drexler was. We know what Kenny was. I'm just saying, I think Kobe's better, and he has the slight edge all time.
10 seconds, bro.
Well, I don't. Well, and like the slight edge you're talking about, I don't think it's. Again, okay. When I say like position preference, like you either like guards or you like bigs. Me, I prefer bigs because I think they affect the game at a higher level and a higher clip than guards do. You know what I'm saying? You think about some of the big men.
No. Go ahead. Keep going, King Edward. You're muted.
Oh, you think about all these big men like Shaq, Tim, and like I said, all the big men that I mentioned. I think that they had a higher impact on the game, and a lot of times they made their smalls better. And I think when it comes down to Hakeem, that's what he did for Kenny. That's what he did for what was his name? Just Robert Horry. I think that's what Hakeem did for all those guys and all those role players. Is he made them better, but instead of the other way around.
Go ahead, Real. 40 seconds left in the round.
There's one thing about this all. No real big man has won without at least a good or great guard. And when I say great, I'm not saying like the Drews of the world is great, but great on ball. They all won with a decent enough guard in their hand because they needed somebody to get them the ball. Shaq game winning dunk. Who did it come from? A Kobe alley hoop. You can see a lot of this is guard preference, and I'm not on guard or big man side. I like basketball in general. I just think that when you look at Kobe,
That's
he
it.
has everything.
All right, so we go to closing statements. Since King Edward opened, he's gonna close last. So, Rel, you can make your closing statement first.
To me, Kobe is better all time, just for the simple fact is that he has the defense as a guard. 14 time or right now I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I don't think it's 14 exact, but somewhere around there all time as a defense as guard. He has the scoring components. We see how he gets in the playoffs. We see how he gets in the finals. He cranks it up a notch. He really is an all time player. And then to me, he's just better than Hakeem all time.
Man, I don't know, man. He's like Hakeem is ninth in steals all time. He's first in blocks all time. He averaged a pretty high field goal percentage for his career. I don't know. Like I said, I just believe that you take Olajuwon away from that Rockets team, I think they don't win the champ. I don't think they win a title. You can put any big from that time in Olajuwon spot. I don't think they win a ring. I think that's how effective he was for that squad. And I'm wrote that to the day I die. You know, it's big man over small man because if you don't have an intimidator, you don't have an enforcer, it's gonna be real hard for you to make a run in the playoffs or even try to even thinking about winning the championship ring. But that's just me though. That's just me.
All right, guys, that was awesome. That's a really good argument. You know, I personally got Kobe, but that's neither here nor there. All right, we're throwing another poll up in the chat. Make sure if you're in the chat, the Twitch chat, you're voting, please. I'll give you guys a second to do that. And then don't forget, the reason why I held it up is I'm just trying to remind you guys, man, you got it. Just steal it from them and cut them off. Don't even let them go. Get that extra possession in. All right, and then we're going to go to the last question. And for the last question, Rel's going to start the round and end the round in closing statements. And it's if you took Luka and plucked him off the Mavericks and put him on any of the other playoff teams, are they automatically better? All right. So Rel, you're gonna go first. And your time starts now. Go ahead, Rel.
I believe so, just because his scoring, what he brings to the floor, he could bring scoring, playmaking, and I don't like the rebounding. You could leave that up to the big man. I'm not going to throw that in there. But if you threw him on a team with, let's say, the Kevin Durant and the Nets, they needed that playmaking aspect. They needed that on the floor to make those playmakers and draw people away from just double teaming Kevin Durant. He would have been great on that team. When Chris Middleton went down, if Giannis would have had just something comparable to his scoring aspect, I feel like they would be playing the Heat right now. You could look at it on the other side. If John had Luka, they'll be good. If I'm just saying, if he goes to other teams, they will be great teams and championship caliber teams.
Cookies. I don't. First of all, Kyrie is a playmaker. Is he not? Is he not a high IQ point guard? He's not high IQ. Okay. So if Kyrie's not a high IQ point guard, then plugging Luka there, I mean, he wasn't going to do nothing anyway because they still got the same supporting cast. And the same supporting cast is what essentially got their ass swept. I mean, KD did his job. Kyrie, he came and went just like he did in the most of the regular season. But no, absolutely not. And as far as him going to Memphis, that Memphis fit don't make sense to me. Him going to Memphis don't make sense. He needs to go somewhere that's not already guard heavy. Like if you're gonna send him somewhere that's got a lot of wing players, got a lot of bigs, that way he has somebody to give the ball to. Milwaukee makes sense. You got Bobby Portis, you got Giannis, you got Middleton, you got Lopez. Like you got guys you can give the ball to. But Memphis and Brooklyn, absolutely not. Absolutely.
So when I say Brooklyn, to me, I don't think Kyrie Irving is this high IQ point guard. He's a great scorer, playmakers, hell of skill, but high IQ point guard, I don't believe so. Me personally, I just don't believe so. So when you have somebody that could come in and be a high IQ point guard, so Kyrie Irving doesn't have to be the dominant ball handler, as we see, i.e. James Harden, and he could just get to his spots. He was 50, 40, 90 with that. That's all that they needed. And even with those pieces around him, he could have made the Brooklyn Nets team better because Kyrie could have got his spots. Steph Curry could have got his spots. Patty Mills could have got his spots. And you would still have to worry about him scoring 30, Kyrie scoring 25, Kevin Durant giving you 50. That would be on the back of your mind. And Memphis,
10
the
seconds.
problem with Memphis, my problem with Memphis is that they didn't know how to slow down the ball, and Luka know how to do that in the playoff.
Now that's true. The one thing Luka does know how to do is make everybody and every team play at the pace they need to play, right? He knows how to slow the entire game down, which is why Golden State had so much of an issue with him, dealing with him in the first half of both games. It's because he's slowing everybody down. He's making everybody do their jobs. Now, I'm sorry. I'm just not sold on him fitting in Brooklyn. I'm just not sold on him because he's either going to be the one option, the two option, or the three option. You're not going to take the one option out of KD. You're not going to take the ball out of his hands. And then we already seen that Kyrie can also give you 50, 60 points if you need it, if KD is not doing his job. Now, what happens when Luka has a bad game, which he's had this season multiple times? What happens when you have a bad game? Who do you fall to? Again, it comes down to role players. They don't have a lot of bigs. That's been an issue all season.
You can say that's been an issue all season. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna take Brooklyn bigs over what they have in Dallas right now. I'm taking Andre Drummond over Norman Powell or whoever's they're playing a big man. But I'm just saying that even if you look at his play style, he breaks down the floor, he slows the ball down. Teams will have to work around, even if he's the second or third option. And Brooklyn, he's gonna make the ball get to players in their spots. He's gonna find Kyrie. He's gonna find Kevin Durant. He's gonna find Patty Mills and those shooters to make it comfortable. He's gonna do that. And I think if you added a component like Luka to those teams, those teams will play way better than what they did. Brooklyn would not have got swept. Not at all.
Well, you can make the same. Well, I mean, that's basically the same case for James Harden, right? He was that facilitator. He was the person that can give you buckets, find guys, because he was averaging 9 assists this season. Half of the season he played with Brooklyn, right? So you take that same mentality and you apply it to Luka Doncic. He might average maybe 11 assists just because of his ability to dribble, penetrate, similar to James Harden. But I think if you want to put Luka anywhere, the best fit for him now out of the teams that are currently in the playoffs is probably Boston. It's definitely Boston. You got Luka, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Robin Williams as your starting five. Now you against Miami, I'm taking Boston.
10 seconds.
If you plug Luka with Boston now, I'm taking Boston. I'm already taking Boston.
I understand what you're saying on that aspect because Boston's biggest problem is that they actually need a playmaker, and that's what Luka can do. But to me, I'm not big on his defensive skills because I don't think I'm not saying he's a pot call, but I'm not really big on his defensive skills to me. But on that team, they need that kind of intensity. They run the floor, and I think Luka wants to slow down the pace. And sometimes they need it, but how that Celtics team played, they push the pace. And that's how they get a lot of open buckets. That's how they got the game winner against Brooklyn, is because they pushed that pace. Jason Tatum ended up open, and it was a game winner layup. They need certain things in that component. I think Luka slows the ball down a little bit too slow for how Boston plays. So I don't think he works there. But the reason I feel like he works with the Nets, Kevin Durant could play at a slow pace, and Kyrie Irving could get his open shots.
Well, I'm not necessarily worried about Luka on defense when it comes down to Boston because we see what Boston already have done with defense this season. We already know what that looks like. So what you're basically doing is you're taking an offensive-minded guy and you're plugging him into the number one ranked defense in the NBA this season. You're plugging him into a system where guys are helping nonstop, and most of the starting five can guard the one position in either direction. Like Marcus Smart can guard 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on the team, depending on the big, right? Jason Tatum can guard 1, 2, 3. Same with Jaylen Brown. Al Horford can give you 4 and 5. Robert Williams can give you, I want to say 3, 4, 5. So you plug him into that system. Yeah, okay, you move Marcus to the bench. That's great. Now he comes off the bench with Daniel Tice, Pritchard, and all those other guys. Williams. It's a better team to me.
There's only 5 seconds left.
I don't think Marcus Smart should come off the bench. That aspect.
We're going to go to closing statements. Rel, you're going to go first on closing anyway. And then, guys, just remember the question, like, is Luka going to make any of the playoff teams better, yes or no? So in your closing statement, just make sure you sell your point. And I got it as a very close match overall. So this last closing statement is going to be super important. It could determine the winner of the whole thing. So just make sure you stick to the question. And Rel, go ahead. Your 60 seconds start now.
I think Luka, yes, he will make playoffs teams better. Like I said, I think he would have made even Chicago better. He would have made Chicago better. He would have made the Nets better. He would have made Milwaukee 3 times better. He would have made teams better because of what he does. He needs that, like, the pace that he needs and the pace that he plays at. A lot of teams can play at those pace, and if they add somebody that's like that can play make and that can get their players to their spots that what they actually need. He'll bring a team to a whole nother level if he's playing with a Giannis, a Kevin Durant, Kyrie, if he's playing with a Zach, a DeMar, because if you watch that Bulls series, they couldn't even really get to their spots. But yeah.
All right. Okay. King Edward, your closing statement.
So, okay, real quick. So it's that Chicago take is nonsense. Okay. What the Bulls needed was a power forward, a center, a backup power forward, a backup center, and some wing players. That's what they needed to get up out of these playoffs. Plugging Luka into there makes no difference whatsoever. Maybe they win one more game. But other than that, no, absolutely not. I think Luka makes a playoff team better. It all depends on the team. It all depends on the style of play of the team, and it all depends on the coaching for the team. Like I said, Boston, Miami, teams that have high defenses or like ranked top 5 or top 10 in the NBA in defense, that's where you send Luka, because that's where he's going to be most effective, because you can utilize his skill set, which is being a force and being an offensive minded player. That's just where I'm at. That's just me, though. That's just me.
All right, guys, that's going to do it, man. Great battle. I had it real close, and honestly, I was really basing it on the third round, and I kept on going back and forth. And I'm just gonna say, on my opinion, that at the very end, King Edward, you were making a lot of good points, but you weren't hammering like reasons as to why Luka couldn't go on any team. Like, I was looking for you to say, like, he plays a certain way, he's a certain system, like you can't just put him anywhere at any time, and you were giving Luka praise, so I was struggling with that when you were supposed to be, like downplaying him the whole time. But yeah, I mean, I have it 2 rounds to 1, so I have a split decision, but my votes don't count. I'm not a judge today, so let's go over to the judges. We'll start with BooWop. BooWop, what'd you think of the battle? Any comments?
Very interesting. That's all I'm gonna say, man. Very interesting. I'm gonna send my vote though. We gonna talk about it.
All right, now we're gonna bring Trent to the screen. Trent, what do you think of the battle?
No, just what Bob just said, very interesting. It's a very tough battle. I like the energy being brought though, for sure. So yeah, that's really about it. I think I got my votes in. Those are great battles though.
All right, and then Gbaby, any comments on the points, the counterpoints, anything specific?
Yeah, for sure, it's the counterpoints. Like, I was sitting there and I listened, and then somebody would bring up something. I'm like, I mean, they got a point, and then it's just like the back and forth. So I definitely like that. So I'm definitely rocking with that. So that it was the counterpoints for me that really made this battle tough for me to decide a winner.
All right, bet. Let's see. I'm about to just look at these tallies real quick from the judges. All right. So, Troy, do you want to know? Let the fans know the fan vote. You want to tell the fan vote before I give the real reveal?
You know the fan vote?
Not
What's
one motherfucker voted. That's the fan vote. Not
I'm
one
disappointed,
motherfucker.
you guys.
So
You
thank
guys
you,
gotta
chat.
vote. We need
Thank
you
you,
to vote, chat. We need you to vote.
Thank you, chat. This is gonna be fun putting this in our damn stat books. Thank you, chat.
All right. Well, I got the real winner, and based on the judges, it's a unanimous decision. The winner of today's battle, Rel. Talk to him, Rel.
Well, hold on. Listen, man. No, he was a good opponent. You know, this was a great conversation. The thing about it is just that, well, BooWop, no, I've been attacking this mellow argument for like about 6 months now, 7, 8 months now. So I already came in this with ammo, just debunking a whole lot of that. The Hakeem one, I can honestly say you had me on the ropes there, where it went left for me is when he was like, oh, defense, because Kobe has like 14 of 10 all-time defensive teams, and that matters because they vote off his defense and how he plays. So at first I was gonna be like, all right, I give you that, but then I had to remember that he actually did play defense. Kobe wasn't just a scorer on one end; he played defense on the other too. The last argument that was kind of difficult to me, and I could tell you why. I don't believe he could fit on the Memphis Grizzlies. But sometimes you gotta bullshit your way through stuff. Pardon my language, my fault. But sometimes you gotta just talk it and make it seem a little bit smoother and a little bit nicer. But certain aspects, I didn't think that Luka aspect, I was like, yeah, I know he wouldn't have fit on Chicago, but it just sounded good because it's Luka. Just sounded good.
All right. Thanks a lot, Rel. King Edward, any comments? How you feeling?
I mean, I feel good. I mean, despite the L that I'm holding right here, I feel fine. Like I said, it was a good conversation, and I think that I think me and Real gonna be chopping it up a lot on TikTok coming up soon, man. We gonna it's the NBA.
Rematch?
It's a big world, man.
That's
The
what
NBA
I'm
is a big
saying.
world.
I'm saying it was close
Big
enough
world.
where I think it warrants a rematch, right? I think
I'm down, man.
I appreciate both you guys.
Send me 3 more topics and we can pick a date.
Y'all were both entertaining, right? The only thing I would have asked is, man, like use your cookies more, bro. Like
Yeah.
even like a move out, like you use up your 60 seconds and then it goes to the guy's turn. Let him go 3 seconds, steal that right back.
Yeah, I would just,
what
I'll be trying to let people, dig their own hole and, you know what I'm saying, kind of set themselves up for everything. So that's why I was just kind of chilling on the cookies. But next, I'm a kid in the cookie store next time. Though I got something.
Hey, you gotta get in your bag, man. You gotta get
Yes,
your
sir.
get back next time. That's what I'm saying. You gotta get your get back. All right,
Oh, yeah.
guys. But thank you everybody for watching. On behalf of Troy, BooWop, Trent, Gbaby, myself, and Rel and King Edward, thank you for participating.